You're welcome back. It is 9:06. Delighted to welcome golfer Sara Byrne to studio. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, hello.
Look in the 1909. What have we got going on here?
That is my home club of Douglas Golf Club.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's quite an old. Where is Douglas?
In Cork.
Wow.
Yeah.
1909. There, well,
Where is Douglas? The most offensive question
sorry.
that
Yeah,
anybody
sorry.
can ask.
We'll forgive
I
you,
know
we'll
that.
forgive you.
Was Roy Keane from Douglas or?
No, Jesus Christ.
Rockmount?
For that.
Who was
He's
from
Bayfield.
Douglas?
Anyone? Adamida.
Adamy, there we
Adamida
go.
went that kind of juncture. I'm Rochestown, so just beside Douglas. Yeah.
Right neighbours.
Nice. I like that. Yeah.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you.
How long have you been home for?
About a week.
Right, okay. To people who aren't familiar with your story, where have you been for the last few years?
I have been in the University of Miami in South Florida in the States on a golfing scholarship for the last couple of years. So I just graduated there a couple of weeks ago and got on that plane journey home and came back into Douglas.
Obviously, your life and your career is about to go to a whole new level. But is there a little bit of a come down after this part of it all ends?
Yes, a little bit. So I have a bit of a little bit of a break of competitive golf for the last couple of weeks, which was nice because I had such a hectic final season with college. Have a kind of just about to hit my summer season as an amateur, and then hopefully after the summer ends, we're going to go pro. So
Very good. We'll get into that in just a moment. But your final season with the University of Miami was very, very successful.
yeah, broke a few records, and, which was really, really fun. So I enjoyed it. It was one of those things where I kind of went into my last year being like, okay, if we're going to do something, like this is our last chance, and absolutely just freewheeled it for the last year and did as well as we could, really.
What was the main reason behind that level of success? Obviously, more experience, more practice, you're getting better every single year. Was there something special that happened in the final year of college?
Yeah, I think it just all came together, everything.
Right.
But mainly it was the mental side of the game. Like, obviously, like I work hard on my technical things, on skills and everything like that. But I think what really tied it all together was how I kind of had the outlook on the game. It changed. My mindset towards everything changed a lot. So that was kind of the main reason where everything just then kind of took off.
What changed mentally? What were you doing?
I thought that I had to play perfect golf to be good. I thought every shot had to be perfect, but I kept getting told it just has to be good enough. Tiger Woods missed greens. Tiger Woods missed putts. Like, it wasn't. I don't have to go out there feeling like I'm gonna stripe it every time. And I kind of just. That was kind of it. Like, the way I was working and practicing wasn't to be perfect. It was to be good enough to get myself out of bad decisions or bad mistakes. And that is what I kind of went there. One of my coaches gave me a good quote and it really stuck with me. It's, I'm good enough to do dumb stuff sometimes. So kind of that freedom, being like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do something stupid. I'm going to make a mistake on the golf course. And that's fine. We move on. It's how you kind of have that outlook, kind of being like, everything's a challenge, and I'm very competitive. I like to overcome to every challenge. So that's kind of, I just see everything as a challenge and just go for it.
That is really interesting, isn't it? Like, so when did that come about in your head then?
I was kind of drilled in. It was drilled into me my third year of college, because we got new coaches, head coach and assistant coach and stuff, and that was their kind of thing. That was their side of the game, that they were really good at coaching. So they drilled that into me in my third year, and I think it kind of all clicked then come fourth year in college. And yeah, it's just a different type of coaching styles that I was kind of like exposed to, really.
How much of golf is mental?
90% of it, I'd say. No, I'd say that's a bit exciting because you do the skill.
It's big,
It is big. Honestly, if I don't think you really until you realize it and make the mistakes of not knowing how big it is. That's when you really. I think now I just realize how big the mental side of any. Honestly, I think any sport. I think if you're trying to be a professional athlete and be very successful in your sport, I think mentally you have to be so tough. And until you realize that, and then you can really kind of take things on and really take advice.
As an individual sport as well, and somebody who's been so successful, I presume a big part of your psyche was you got to be so bloody hard on yourself. You got to be a perfectionist. So it's almost trying to fix that self-criticism a little bit for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's not even like fix it, just have that different outlook.
Right.
So it's, instead of being so hard on myself to be perfect, it's still have that harshness on myself to keep the motivation and keep myself hardworking, but kind of just in a more positive outlook. I just, even when I'm feeling like upset on the golf course or really mad or like things that would be like detrimental to the game, I kind of go, okay, look, you need to get a little bit mad to get better, but let's like put it, I literally just say like, let's put it in a positive look, like let's channel that energy in a positive way. And that's just kind of it, like just channeling it in a more positive thing, just saying it to yourself, just okay, let's be a bit more positive, let's shift the kind of outlook a little bit, from maybe being like, oh, I'm not good, or like I'm playing so bad, I'm making all these mistakes. It's like, okay, yeah, everyone does that. Okay, let's see how good I can be from making this mistake, you know.
Does that require training? Do you have triggers to help that? Because that seems like something that's much easier said than
Oh
done.
yeah, it's taken a while to get there. I think it's just, for me, it was maturing and realizing that if I want to get better, this is what I have to do. And for me, I will do anything that will make me better at all to get me out on tour as quickly as possible. So, but yeah, I notice it myself. If I'm getting, like, for me, it's like if I start getting quick, if I start like doing everything like at a fast pace, and then I'm like, okay, breathe. I do a lot of like breathing techniques, like box breathing is really, really good, especially as for golf, which is
What is that?
It's like you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, get the heart rate back down. Because obviously for golf, it's a little bit different than most sports where we're not running. You need a slower heart rate. Like your adrenaline can help, but otherwise it can be so detrimental. Like other sports, maybe that includes a lot of running. You need that kind of adrenaline to keep you going. So for us, for me, it's slowing it right down.
It's funny, Dean Rock said the exact same thing when he was talking about just his incredible record as a free kick taker for the Dubs. And obviously, he's running over to a free, he's got but he says he's just got to get he learned how to kill his heart rate almost.
Yeah, exactly.
It just helped. But I presume it's like, even if it's not as high a cardio sport as Gaelic football is, the pressure, the situation, the anxiety, maybe it's not anxiety, but all those mental aspects, that gets the heart rate going.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're sometimes standing over a putt that would be for a big round or to win, and I'm like, I can't feel anything. I'm just like
Really?
putting, and like you need you need your body to react in a good way. So it's just learning from it all. You have to go through it and experience it, and then kind of learn from it. So it's whether you fail over and over, and then eventually succeed from learning. So
Heart rate is massive in terms of like just even if you're like if you're sort of a everyday cyclist, like they will tell you like you have to keep your heart rate under a certain amount. And Aidan O'Brien, the favourite in the Derby at the race on Saturday, he's saying one of the reasons he flopped in the Guineas was because he went into the stalls very quick. His heart rate was really high, and when he came out of the stalls, his heart rate was so high he couldn't get into any sort of rhythm in a 1 minute race. And like, you know, you see with your Fitbit and all of that, like when it tells you how you're sleeping, your heart rate is massive. Like.
Absolutely, yeah. It's something that like you may not think of until you're like in the situation, and then you're like, oh God, how do I deal with this? So it's just.
And in golf, it must be pressure because obviously you're not physically doing an awful lot. So. Yeah, is there a Fitbit for golfers where it's like, okay, you're going to put for the Masters here, but your heart rate is through the roof?
A lot of people use actual Whoop, and you can see it afterwards. Obviously,
Whoop.
it doesn't tell you.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Hashtag ad.
But yeah, and it's funny, like they even like PGA Tour players use it, and they Whoop will release the data from it, and you can see their like golfers' heart rate when they're putting for birdie or putting for bogey or trying to win. And it's like 120 beats per minute, and they're like, you can see, and they look so composed, and you wouldn't think
that
like,
is mad.
Yeah,
That's
it
mad,
is.
yeah.
It is funny.
You mentioned the couple of different coaches that have come in and have helped you along this mental process. Who are they, and what conversations are you having with them?
So it was my head coach, Janice Olivencia. She's the head coach at the women's golf team at University of Miami, and it was the assistant coach during my third year in college. We had a lot of conversations, a lot of hard ones that I needed to have to get better. I was kind of, because we had a whole coaching kind of switch up after my first 2 years. So that's when they came in for my third and fourth year in college. And I just was kind of stuck. I wasn't kind of having that little bit of a breakthrough that I was like working so hard for, and it just wasn't working. And at that point, I was kind of on my breaking point where when I saw these new coaches come in, I sat down and I was like, please help. I was like, I will do anything. You tell me to do something, I will do it. Like, you help me to get better and I will absolutely do it. So we had a lot of very hard conversations. I told them, be as hard as possible, push me past my limits to get me better, which was not easy. I can tell you that. They pushed me. I sat in their offices crying over and over because of what they were saying, what they were doing, but as well, what they were doing was making me better. So like, no matter what I knew, I had that trust in them, and they made me better.
Was it like harsh truths?
Harsh truths, yeah. I needed to be kind of very accountable with my actions and how I was acting, like everything that I could control on the golf. Like on your golfing, there's not that much you control other than yourself and how you react to things. Like, no matter how good you are, when you hit the ball, you can't control where that thing goes. Like, that thing can go anywhere. So it's really just being so accountable on what I was doing, like how I was working, what I was doing in the practice range, how I was reacting to shots, and how that like affected my next shot and my next round and my mentality going into tournaments. So there was a lot of harsh truths where I needed to grow up.
They told you that?
Yeah. No, yes, in many different
And
ways.
so, like, that can be construed as they made me cry. This is terrible. But you're like, they made me cry. I'm much better for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, being an athlete and trying to be as good as what I'm trying to get to, it is not easy. It's not going to be all glamorous and happy times. Absolutely not. Ask any athlete at all, and they had a hard conversation with our coach. Absolutely, that's what makes them better.
What's the harshest thing that was said to you in one of those meetings?
I actually can't even. I try to zone that back out and think of the positives. Yeah. What was said in those meetings, I just let that be and take it on. But I that's what I told them to do. I said, be as hard as you possibly can on me. I'm not gonna turn around and say, what are you doing? I don't like what you're doing. Like I cried because I was like, okay, yeah. It was a realization that me right now, like back then, me right now wasn't going to get the job done. I needed to change. So I think it was coming from myself. And I told them, be as hard as you possibly can, and they were.
Well, were you like? I do find this interesting. Were you like? And it's almost like when we're talking about Ross Byrne earlier, that trajectory where you're like a star as you're younger and all that. Was your trajectory like? I haven't dealt with many setbacks here. Or from the start of you getting into golf, I heard you were like playing around the bunkers and trying to get in via your your lineage, or whatever. But like, were you expecting to get to the top?
From such a young age, yeah, I think I'm very set in my ways, and I'm very I'm very competitive. But set in my ways is that when I want to do something, I'm gonna do it. And if anyone gets in my way, like get out of my way because I'm doing it.
I have a golf club here. So why was it golf?
Well, my dad played, and I went out in the course with him as a very young child.
How young are we talking?
Oh, I probably got my first plastic set of clubs when I was about 2 or 3. And I was swinging. And we actually had this little wooden statue of a golfer, and they had like little wooden clubs that came out. And I mean, like these things were tiny. I'd be taking them out and swinging them in the house. So it's always been there. Unfortunately, when I kind of was getting to the age of like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, when I was doing Irish dancing, I was playing camogie and I was playing golf, and I knew that I didn't want to do anything else. Golf is what I wanted to do, and I just have that love for the game and competing.
This is the thing. It's not like Joe Canning is not like a genius or anything like that. Joe Canning was hitting the ball off the wall and playing with his brother Ollie when he was 3. And I do believe the younger you start. Do you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. That is, I will agree with that 100%. The younger you start, the more just of a natural I think it is.
Yeah,
in the end,
yeah. For Joe, it was natural to hit that point against Tipperary because he'd done it a million times at home. So from the age of 3 to that trajectory, so as you're growing up, when are you like, okay, I'm going to reach the top here?
Well, I feel like it first solidified for me when the Solheim Cup was in Castle. I think it was 2011. I could be wrong. Around that time. And I went and I saw these players, and I was like.
And you were what age?
I was 10, around 10, 9, somewhere around that. I saw these players, and I was like, "That's what I'm going to do." That.
What did your mates think of this? Like,
they thought it was so weird. They were like, "What is this girl?" Like, because at that time, women's golf was not a big thing in Ireland. Like Leona had yet to make, like, she was like obviously doing so well as amateur circuit, but she'd yet to turn pro and like finish up college and stuff like that. So, it just wasn't big. I didn't know any girl golfers at that time. I was playing with all the lads up in Douglas Golf Club at that time, and
were you any good?
I would like to think so. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what they might say, but I think I was good for like a 9-year-old. But yeah, so just growing up, I just had that dream, and like I said to my dad at Solheim Cup, I was like, I'm doing this. I was like, that's going to be me someday, and he was like, okay, sure.
Was your dad a good golfer?
Yeah, he played off scratch +1. Where he won I actually caddied for him years ago, and he won the Clarny Scratch Cup when I was about 9. I caddied for him. Yeah, so we've been a bit of a dream team for a very long time now. So
it's amazing, isn't it, how you need that moment of either like a direct inspiration, whether it's a human, which obviously is your dad in your life, or else this moment, which is like the Solheim Cup.
Yeah, so obviously like it's a bit of both. Like my dad got me into the game, and then I kind of. He was like, do what you want now. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it from such a young age. And watching it on the TV, watching Tiger Woods, like highlight reels really, because his prime was before I was even born, honestly. But yeah, so it's just kind of growing up with that dream, and no one could ever shake it, no matter what. Like all my friends were like, oh, like when I was in secondary school, it was hard. Like they were all going out and like having sleepovers, doing all this. And I was like, oh, well, like I have training tomorrow morning, so I have lesson, or like I can't. Going through that, it was just unwavering. I was like, there was nothing else I wanted to do, and in the end, like I got so much great things out of it. So even so far, like I'm in my head, I'm not anywhere near done in my career where I want to be. But like looking back, like I got to go to college in Miami for 4 years. Like that was all paid for. And
How did that come about then?
well, I was playing on Irish teams around Europe from God when I was 13, 14. And a lot of college coaches in the States come over to Europe to recruit. So they'd be at like European team championships for girls, and there's actually one tournament, the German boys and girls tournament. It's on in May every year, and that's where it's one of the biggest tournaments in Europe for under 18s, and that's where basically nearly every college coach comes and watch. And I had a really good bunker shot when their coaches were walking past, and Miami coach was like, "Oh, I like that."
This is the movie shot. It's like, ooh, wow, did that happen?
Yeah,
So tell us
so-
about the bunker shot.
Yeah, actually, they walked
You
up.
were familiar with bunkers since you were like 3.
Yeah, exactly,
Oh.
exactly. Who knew that would get me
I've
there?
done this the
Yeah,
last 20
honestly,
years,
there was a big group of coaches. Like I was teeing off on one, and they were just walking out to the course to spread out and see everyone. And I hit my driver into the bunker. I hit my shot out of the bunker to the green side bunker. And again, they weren't there to watch me. They were just walking out to the golf course, and I think my bunker shot like lipped out, and they were like, "Oh, well, that was good." And then he stayed with me for another 1 or 2 holes, and I went
Nice.
birdie on the next 2, and he was like, "Contact me when you can."
Did
Wow.
you know they were? Did you know they were there?
Yeah, I could see them. Like at that point, it was in my head I wanted to go to college in the States. So like it was like,
I gotta get this out.
yeah,
of the bunker.
I gotta do something here. And
That's
thankfully I did.
mad.
So yeah, no, it's funny how like these little moments kind of define like your whole journey and everything. But yeah, and then that was the assistant coach at my University of Miami at the time. Obviously, he wasn't there after 2 years of my thing. But yeah, he called my head coach and he goes, I found a girl for us for the year 2020. And yeah, that's how that all
And
came
this
about.
took a few minutes, really.
Yeah, it took a few, and then I had a few phone calls later on, and that was it. I visited in September of 2018, I think. It was my 5th year in school, and I literally stepped on campus. I was like, I don't need to see any golf facilities. Like, this is where I want to go. I
Beautiful.
was like, I will come here.
It's amazing when you talk as well about how much of an impact your coaches at the U have had on you, and it would have been impossible to have that level of psychological development, I dare say, but probably golfing development as well, had you not get
absolutely.
that opportunity.
Yeah, just from like it's kind of like it's funny when you look back on things, like everything does happen for a reason, and I went to Miami for that, and and coaches switched out for a reason, and I've always just I've been taking everything I can out of every opportunity that comes, because like you never know what's going to happen. And I think like I was like, okay, yeah, am I sad my 2 coaches that brought me to the University of Miami, I spent half my time here, are leaving? Yeah, new coaches are coming in. Okay, let's see what kind of opportunities I can get from them. And I did. I took every last thing I could possibly learn from them, and I implemented it on the golf course, and I did what I did over there. So
Am I right in saying you were awarded Female Varsity Athlete of the Year last year at University of
yeah,
Miami?
it was like for the 2023-2024 season. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I'd gotten like Scholar Athlete of the Year a couple of awards before, and I was like, oh, like every athlete kind of gets one award. I was like, that's me done. And I was like very happy to get it, like because I had been doing very well in school, and being well at school and doing the best in your sport, you get that award for the Scholar Athlete. And then the next minute my name gets called for Female Athlete of the Year. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
It's extraordinary. Like, I mean, maybe not everybody's like fully aware of that, like, but also like University of Miami is one of the great sports programs in the United States.
Yeah.
What you're up against there is some of the best athletes in a range of different sports who are all
Yeah.
trying to get into the pro leagues themselves, from basketball to volleyball to lacrosse, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That must have been a huge moment for you in terms of what you actually saw yourself doing and in terms of your career path, because
Yeah.
I don't know, like obviously I'm not sure what the University of Miami's reputation is for golf. I know there's a lot in the deep south that would have like massive reputations in the men's game, but you always think about basketball and football when it comes to these universities. As a golfer coming through, you must have thought, wow, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, because obviously, like, mainly for bigger sports in the States, like for women's, it would be like volleyball would be really good, soccer would be really big, like just the ones that kind of would like bring in a little bit of money. Like women's golf doesn't bring in any money for the program, so like we wouldn't be as big. But yeah, once my name got called, I think it was a little bit of realization too. It was like, okay, yeah, I am doing something really big here for my last year. And I think like a lot of my friends who wouldn't have known golf were like, oh wow, like in the States, and they were like, okay, yeah, so she is pretty good. So I think it was just nice to get that little bit of recognition from it. And like University of Miami, that was the best place ever, and I loved it so much. And it was nice that the athletic program was giving back something to me too. So I think that moment, I was so shocked. I was like, oh my God. I was walking off the stage a little bit of shaking with my
That's
awards.
cool.
So it was a really cool experience for sure.
Talk us through what happens next now. How do these next few months look for you?
Okay, yeah. So basically, I came back from Miami. I think I have like it was like a 3 or 4 week break from competition, which was needed. It was a really intense final season with Miami, trying to break as many records as I could and just keep playing good golf. But basically, I actually leave for France on Tuesday. I'm gonna play in my first competition of my summer season. So I'll play through summer in June, July, August, and hopefully in the end of August I'll be hopefully making that or sorry September I'll be making it over to pro. But I'm going to France next week. I come back, I'm going to be playing the women's amateur in Portmarnock in Dublin. It's actually nice. I have 2 tournaments in Ireland this summer, which like 2 major tournaments, which is isn't usually the case. So I have the women's amateur in Portmarnock, and then I'm playing the Arnold Palmer Cup in Lahinch, which
Nice.
is
Wow.
it's 12 girls and 12 guys on each team, and basically it is the 12 best guys from the US that are in college and the 12 best girls that are in the US in college versus the rest of the world. So
Right.
Many
it's,
Irish involved?
it's actually there's 4 of us on the team, which is really nice, and there's 2 guys and 2 girls and me included. So that's on Lahinch, and that's going to be an absolute great week. So it's just a really like cool fun week that kind of gives you a little bit of like, okay, I did, because it's very difficult to get on out of 5,000 like college
Yeah.
athletes. You need to be in the top 12 to do it. So it was pretty nice feeling getting my name called out on the TV for it when I was getting picked. So yes, that will be a fun week, and then I literally fly straight to Madrid for European teams. Hopefully if picked, and then take a little bit of a break, and then go into August, and it's a hectic season in August.
So
then.
What are the logistics of like being a pro now and monetizing your career? And like, do you have a representative, or how does it work?
Yeah, so well, my manager and everything is my dad currently. Thankfully, he's very good at his job
Just gotta
of
give him a
managing
shout out
me.
there, you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
dadager, he's out there. But basically, the next couple months will be alright. It will be all amateur, and when I turn pro, it's I have like a few professional. Basically, to turn pro, all you have to do is play in a professional event and not sign the amateur waiver. It's pretty simple how to do that. But like it's coming with getting all my sponsors ready, and thankfully have that all kind of sorted coming into the next couple of months. as
How
well.
does that work then?
Honestly, for me, it came about really funnily through like members in Douglas Golf Club were connecting me through to companies that were being just set up. Like 4Caddy is my main sponsor, and they're like a golf and golf bag and luggage logistics company that will ship your luggage from your like house to your destination and stuff like that. So it honestly that came about literally through a member in Douglas Golf Club who was he had like obviously my name was kind of being thrown about the media the last year because I was doing so well, and he was like, oh, we're setting up this company for Caddy, and you'd be a great ambassador if you would like to join the team. And I was like, absolutely, yeah. So like it honestly for me it has come about in most random ways, and I'm a brand ambassador for Lexus too, and that kind of came about through I was Lahan Motors, which is a Cork dealership. I was being represented by them for a couple of years, and then they were like, oh well, you're going to be turning pro. It's a little bit big for a Cork dealership. Let's get you onto Lexus and see what their thoughts are on it, and they love the idea. So brand ambassador with them, and it comes around so randomly, honestly.
That's how you make money, endorsements and sponsorship.
Endorsements at the beginning for sure, and then once you get on tour and you're making the cut, you're gonna earn a little bit of money. So just once you play in a professional event, make the cut, you're gonna get paid.
And Leon is a big inspiration in that regard. Where you can,
Yeah, absolutely. She's the first like one of the generation to get on the LPGA, and watching what she's doing, she's not just on the LPGA, she's playing really successfully and doing really well and playing Salem Cup, like that's the dream. And I think like it happens like even with like you could see when the Irish guys playing in majors, like you had Padraig Harrington win, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have a whole thing.
Well, yeah. Is the pathway for a young like a 4-year-old girl now who's like I'd like to be a golfer? Because we started the show with the pathway for footballers.
Yeah.
What's it like for the female golfer?
It's definitely getting a lot better. Thankfully, it's very like Golf Ireland is very good at watching out for little girls coming up. They're implementing really good like provincial teams and like county teams to get them training at such a young age and getting them in and trying to push it all on. And I think compared to what it was when I was growing up, I was really lucky to have a really good support system around me that was kind of helping me through all the ranks. But what it is now is great. Like I think with Leona on the TV and like Stephanie Meadows out there, you have Lauren Walsh now coming up on the European tour. And hopefully like me, and there's a whole lot of us in the next couple of years that hopefully will make it on tour. And I think just having that like social media presence and being on the TV, like And you look at like that was like me when Solon Cup was on. Like I watched on TV, I was there. I watch it, and that's where it's stemmed for me. So I'm hoping that's where it's going to be for young girls. But Golf Ireland is really, really good at having like under 15, under 16, under 18 training panels and stuff like that to get.
It's nice to get
going.
a body to give them some praise as well, because God knows you get enough criticism, and it's a thankless job. Like a lot of people, we it's like politics. We need people to go into administration to get into these roles, and if they're just getting slagged all the time, like people just won't do it. Basically,
Yeah,
that's
like
nice
it's not easy getting like trying to find all the players, especially with golf, because it's still not as big and as popular as maybe Gaelic football would be or camogie would be for girls. So, but it has become such a bit like even I had a fundraiser day in Douglas Golf Club on Friday last week, and during the day I had like a clinic for the girls, the smaller girls in Douglas, and like there was like 15 or 18 of them show up. I was like, oh my God.
That's
I was
amazing,
like, when I was growing up, it would have been me. That would be like basically the only one up there. So I was like, look at this. Like it's already starting to be like, that's such a dramatic change.
Any selfies?
There's a few pictures there's a few pictures up there posted. I'm sure we took a few. So but it's just about having fun at that age and like showing them that like don't take it too seriously now, like enjoy the game, gain the love for it, and then you never know where it's going to take you in life. Because I've been traveling the world, and what am I, 23, and I've been to so many places playing golf, which is not many people get to say. So
Yeah, it's not bad. We've loads of reaction to this piece. Andrew Winters has been in touch to say, amazing young woman, she will go places. Go Sarah.
Thank you, Sandra.
Sarah, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Very best of luck over this busy summer period that you've got ahead of you. And it's all going to go very well for you, no doubt. Thanks, Winnie, for popping in.
Perfect. Thank you.